All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, June 18th. We got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. By the way, the Celtics winning the championship last night. Shout out to the Celtics. We did the drinking game. I was updating you guys on Instagram, so I'm struggling a little bit today. So if my voice is fading off or if I say something that makes zero sense at any point, let's chalk it up to a late night and doing the drinking game, all right? But nonetheless, guys, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the games as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment of this video. That is where all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself, those plays will live. In terms of last night, a nice little 3-1 night. And honestly, the Reds-Pirates first 5 under, I feel like it was the right call, and I'm not a big, like, woulda, coulda, shoulda, whatever type recapper when I talk about my losses, but they only scored 5 runs in the entire game. They just happened to score all 5 of them, like, the first 3 innings, so I still like the side there, and at least the look, but a 3-1 night, I'm not gonna, get upset about. We'll take that any day of the week. Pete Crow Armstrong, I believe, just pinch hit it at the end of the game, so he didn't even get an at-bat, so that one was avoided, and it pushed, but yeah, a 3-1 night, we will take it. Unfortunately, our ride of the day does not come through. We did have to sweat it out. Sonny Gray started the game kind of, I don't want to say pitching terribly, but like with 0 strikeouts through X amount of innings, right? He finished with 4 Ks and the Cardinals win, but unfortunately he didn't get to 6 Ks there. So the ride of the day does not come through. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to do is use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a play. I'm jumping on board with one person's pick, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shouting you out over on my X right there. If you guys do want to follow me, doing some fun stuff over there, follow me on all my socials. They're going to be rotating throughout here. But shout out to Groovy Drew for the attempt here and for an awesome nickname. But the ride of the day does not come through. So ride of the day is up for grabs. But guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. I can't believe the NBA season is over. My favorite team wins the championship. I'm sure some people feel kind of some type of way about that. But yeah, late night last night, but I'm still ready to grind and get through and get into this slate. And hopefully have another good night because the MLB has been treating us pretty damn well, except for one bad night a few nights ago, right? So let's go ahead and dive into it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We got Miami taking on St. Louis. Yesterday, we had the Cardinals, and we had to absolutely sweat that one out, but they ultimately come through. Today, Rodri Munoz, so Frankie Muniz on the mound for Miami, going up against Lance Lynn, who really hasn't looked all that tremendous. However, the team is 4-1 in his last 5 starts, but his last 2 starts, he hasn't looked all that great, and it was against Colorado and Pittsburgh. So 2 teams that, don't have the best offenses kind of got to him. He's only pitched 4 innings in his last 3 starts. Rodri Munoz on the other side here, honestly, his last start was his best start against the Mets. He went 6 innings of 1-hit baseball, 5 Ks, 1 walk, 13 pitches per inning. I think in this spot here, it's almost like a Marlins or nothing type of a play for me. I don't think that I can get behind St. Louis at a price of -150 with Lance Lynn on the mound, even though St. Louis is obviously playing better baseball than the Marlins. Marlins have lost like 6 or 7 straight, right? St. Louis has won 7 of their last 10. But to me, there's no value in taking them today, especially after a long, close type of win yesterday. So I think I'm on the Marlins today. I just don't know if I have the cojones to pull the trigger, you know what I mean? So I'll lean Marlins just because I think you're getting a decent price for being able to fade, Lance Lynn. In terms of the total, sitting at 8.5. Yesterday's game, there was obviously a lot of runs being scored, being 7-6, right? But 5 runs came in, what was it, 5 or 4 runs came in extra innings. So I'm going to lean under in this one. I think that the Marlins win this one like 4-3 or even like, 5-4 at maximum, which would just be over this line anyway. So that's the way that'll lean here. But again, these are most likely leans. This isn't my favorite matchup today, and I'm just telling you that transparently. All right, next up we have Cleveland taking on Seattle. Tristan McKenzie on the mound for Cleveland, who hasn't really been all that great over his last 5 starts. He's got a 3 flat ERA, 4.1 on the season, has struggled at home. Going up against Bryce Miller, who definitely has some better numbers. He had one really bad outing against Kansas City recently, but he's also struggled in that game being a factor that skews the numbers. Struggled on the road this season, so I'm going to give a pitching edge here to Seattle for sure. But let's just be honest that Bryce Miller has seemed to struggle against some good lineups, and it's almost like he pitches really well against bad hitting lineups, which, Cleveland over the last 30 days against righties have been pretty good, so this could be a little risky, but we're running back with another underdog here. 2 underdogs in a row. I like Seattle for plus 105 right now due to the pitching advantage. In terms of the bullpen, though, Cleveland probably has the advantage, so I'm thinking this is maybe a Seattle first 5 type of a play for me, but it's almost similar. It is kind of similar to Miami and St. Louis, where I'm just kind of looking at the pitcher saying, you know what, Tristan McKenzie is fadeable if you ask me, and not really all that consistent. He has 43 plate appearances against the current Seattle Mariners roster, 283 average, and expected WOBA of 405, so I could see this being a tough spot for him, whereas at least for an expect FIP standpoint, Bryce Miller looks pretty good. So kind of coming down to pitching overall, but if you're backing a lot of runs in this game or something like that, Cleveland's probably the move, but that price seems a little off, right? I know they're at home, but Seattle's playing really good baseball. They have the better starting pitcher on the mound, if you ask me. And, the bullpens, I guess they could struggle bullpen-wise, but, I just think that, Cleveland's sort of superpower in this spot. The better bats should be suppressed by Bryce Miller. So, with all that being said, I'm going to lean Seattle like I mentioned, but also the under. I think this one is a 4-3-esque type of a win for Seattle, but that kind of explains that I'm thinking Bryce Miller has a decent day, right? Because due to the fact that, Cleveland's got the better offense, the pitcher has to go out there and at least try to shut them down. So give me Mariners first 5, as well as a full game under, and a potential look at maybe an under 4.5 in the first 5, something like that. All right, we got the Phillies taking on the Padres here. Yesterday's game, Phillies win 9-2. Sanchez went out there, pitched 7 innings. Kind of wish we jumped on board on that to some degree, but obviously, like I said in yesterday's video, the odds just weren't really agreeing with anything that we had the potential of rolling with, right? But today we have Aaron Nola on the mound going up against a Michael King. San Diego's bats against righties in the last 30 days have been very, very good, but Aaron Nola has a really good pitch mix, so I don't expect them to necessarily get in a full groove. Like, he literally throws 6 pitches, so maybe that's something to consider, and that should help him out, because I do like the Phillies again today, and for the odds you're getting them at minus 150, I still could get behind that. I think that they are the better team overall, the better bullpen. Aaron Nola should be a better starter with all things considered, right, against Michael King here. But Michael King's been looking fairly well, and Aaron Nola's coming off of getting shelled by the Red Sox. Was it the Red Sox? So there is a little bit of a factor there, but I'm just saying, you widen that sample size, this should be a good spot for Aaron Nola, I would assume. So yeah, give me the Phillies in this spot. I think that this is just a pitching advantage, and you know what? I'm honestly going out there thinking that their offense can kind of compete with San Diego. Now, with that being said, I feel like I've said with that being said a couple times already in today's video, and we're like a few minutes in. I don't mind the over in this spot. I think that this could be a 5-4 game at bare minimum. If the Phillies keep their offense going, they scored 9 runs yesterday. That'd be nice to see. But San Diego, like I said, against right-handed pitchers, some of these numbers look pretty damn good. They didn't have the best offensive series against the Mets. They closed it out with a 6-run game. But that series against Oakland, and I know it's Oakland, 5, 4, 6 runs scored. That series against Arizona, 10, 13, 3. Like, there's some spots in there in which, their offense kind of kicked it into gear. So give me the Phillies as well as the over here. I'm probably more likely to figure out how to play the Phillies than I am, I guess, taking some sort of the over. But yeah, give me the Phillies money line as well as the over. But the over is a slight lean. I just think that this could be a 5-4 game. Honestly, either side winning. All right, guys, before we continue on, I know we're talking about the MLB here, but Sleeper does have a free square for new users. We got Bobrovsky here, Bobrovsky. We got that one, right? Over 0.5 saves here is a free square, 99% discounted. Obviously, his normal line, 25.5 for the Stanley Cup Finals here. So go ahead and check out Sleeper, guys. The link is in the pinned comment as well as the description. You're going to get your first deposit 100% matched, and you get Bobrovsky's here. Bobrovsky. We're doing our best pronouncing these hockey names. But go ahead and check it out, guys. That link in the pinned comment as well as the description. If you don't know what Sleeper is, it's a player prop app. All you do is combine 2 or more player props into a slip, selecting more or less of their projected lines. And the more you win, the more you get paid out. And speaking of payouts, that's what I love about Sleeper, the fact that each and every play you put into your slip changes the payouts dynamically. It doesn't just follow the fixed payout structure like all of the other apps out there. Go check it out. It's my favorite DFS app. I really do stand by Sleeper. That link is in the pinned comment. One more time here, you get this free square for Bobrovsky. Ooh, might have nailed it that time if you do sign up today. Go ahead and check it out. Just throw that into one of your first slips, and it's going to boost the payout, obviously, because he will have one save. But let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of the slate here. Hopefully we can pronounce some of the rest of the names that we're going through here. Next up, we have the Reds taking the Pirates. Is that how you pronounce that? I got to lose that shtick. All right, the Pirates taking on the Reds here. Right now, we have Bailey Faulkner on the mound going up against Nick Lodolo. Always love saying that last name. In terms of what we have here, like I think a strong pitching advantage for Cincinnati, as well as a nice, I would say, to some degree, a nice batting advantage as well. Cincinnati, top 10 team in the league in terms of runs above average in the last 30 days against the fastball, which is really good to see because Faulkner's going to throw about 63% fastball. Now, Nick Lodolo on the other side throws a lot of fastballs as well, but Pittsburgh just 18th in runs above average to that pitch. He also goes to a slider as well as a sinker. I'm talking about Falter here. The sinker, Cincinnati top 10 as well against that. So good to see there. And the odds that you're getting, I really don't mind, especially them coming off a loss, but minus 125. They lose yesterday 4-1. They lost, 3 or 4 in a row. I think it's a good spot for them. I think that the Pirates have won 3 of their last 4. They're kind of due for a little bit of regression. I don't really want to back Falter here, and I think Nodolo can kind of get it going. So, yeah, I like the Reds in this spot. That is a very strong chance of being a final play, in all honesty. In terms of the total, I want the Reds to go out there and give us 5 runs. I think that makes us safe, and that means that they got to Falter. So I'm going to lean slightly towards the over, but much would rather just kind of say, you know what, Cincinnati money line, set it and forget it type of a thing. All right, Washington taking on Arizona here. Washington is just cruising. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. Playing some decent teams. I mean, they just swept Miami, but I wouldn't classify them as a good team. But prior to that, Detroit, they had to go up against, kind of Detroit's latter half of the rotation. So maybe you give them a little bit of a break there. But taking, 3 of 4 against Atlanta, going up against Chris Sale, who pitched a good game. Jake Irvin, who's going again today, kind of stuck right with him. So I'm going to give a little bit of credit to Washington here. That being said, I don't know if I love them at minus 115 odds against the Diamondbacks roster or lineup here that is actually hitting righties fairly well. Maybe the fact that they scored 12 runs against Chicago yesterday is going to skew that, or 2 days ago, is going to skew that. They had 9 runs back-to-back games, 11 runs against the Angels. So maybe some of these high-run games against righties is skewing the data. But I just kind of rattled off out of their last 8 games or so, 4 of them in which they went off. So I'm actually going to look at another underdog in this spot. I feel like it's underdog Tuesday or something, but I like Arizona here just because I think runs are scored in this game. So I'm going to lean towards Arizona as well as the over. My concern is that Slade Ciccione's on the mound for Arizona, and I feel like he's such a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And Jake Irvin is sort of, way more consistent. So if you're kind of betting this game with the pitching in mind, obviously, I can see your argument for Washington. So don't go jumping down my throat of like, why would you bet Arizona, if Jake Irvin's on the mound for Washington? I understand that entirely. I'm thinking this is a little bit more offensive of a game here, meaning that, Jake Irvin maybe gets got a little bit. I don't want to say that because I don't necessarily think, I think he's pitching really well right now, but I think this could be like a 5-4 game or Arizona goes off for like 6 again. In fact, maybe we just look at Arizona's team total because I think you're going to get some value for that as underdogs with a total of 9. So we'll see. But like I said, I'll lean towards the over as well as the D-backs. But I'm almost just assuming / betting on the fact that this could be an offensive game. So I understand it. If you're betting Washington, it's probably coming from a defensive perspective. All right, we got the Yankees taking on the Orioles here. This is an interesting one. We got Cortez on the mound for the Yankees going up against Baltimore's Albert Suarez. The Yankees bat righties really, really well. Baltimore not so much against lefties, and Cortez has been so good at home. So I kind of struggle with this one because I think there's some value in trying to get to Baltimore. So maybe it's more of like a Baltimore run line thing where we get them plus 1.5. That's minus 145 on DK right now. But if you're just a money line bettor and looking for, just to look at money line bets, I do think the Yankees at minus 150 are probably the move. That minus 150 on ESPN right now, in the minus 150s on most books. You have them dropping 2 bad games against the Red Sox. They win game 1, 8-1, puffing their chest out, and then the last 2 games were kind of Red Sox all day long. Baltimore's riding a high, though. They just took 2 of 3 against Philadelphia. They 4-game swept Tampa Bay a couple series ago. Like, they're playing really good baseball, so I wanted to try and get to them, but the Yankees coming off of a couple bad losses now at home. This seems like a spot in which I can't really fade them. So I like the Yankees. Suarez could have a nice night, but taking any pitcher against the Yankees and saying that they're gonna have a nice night is almost like rolling the dice. So I'll lean towards the Yankees in this spot. Total sitting at 9 runs. I'm thinking Cortez, kind of suppresses what the Orioles have done to some degree. So give me like a 5-3 win, 5-4 win like that, which would push in terms of the Yankees. So like I said, if I were to bet Orioles, though, like even now going through what we went through, I still don't mind them on the run line, the +1.5, but I wanted to try and get them for some serious value. But on the road against a lefty, Cortez at home has been really good. I just couldn't fully get there myself overall. So I'll take the under as well as the Yankees in this spot. But damn, I wanted to try and fade the Yankees again. Just couldn't get there. All right, Toronto taking on Boston here. Boston getting the win yesterday. My Red Sox are looking pretty damn good. Not as good as the Celtics. They looked pretty good last night. But this Red Sox team, playing decent baseball. 6 of their last 4. They've won 5 of their last 6. Took 2 of 3 against the Yankees. Took 2 of 3 against Philadelphia. Now took game number 1 against Toronto. At some point, I think that they come back down to earth. But I think Tanner Houck, is a massive advantage here. Now, Chris Bassett's been really good in his last few starts. I think he has like a sub-1 ERA over his last 5. But Tanner Houck coming off of a start in which we can literally say he had like a bad start, right? 3 earned runs through 6 innings pitched. But that's because of how good he's been all year long. So I got to trust him to get the Red Sox at near even odds. When Tanner Houck's on the mound, I do think is a great spot. And their batting against right-handed pitchers the last 30 days have been pretty damn good as well. So give me Houck and the Sox here on the money line. I trust their bullpen as well. Jansen, threw 6 pitches yesterday. Then Keller was the only other one that kind of went in there and pitched a lot. So I think this is a little bit of a bullpen advantage as well for a bullpen that was already better than Toronto. So Red Sox on the money line all day long for me here. Again, kind of coming down to Tanner Houck. In terms of the total, I don't mind taking a peek at maybe the way that I might play this is like a Toronto team total. Right now, you can get their team total. Let's see if we can pull it up very quickly. Their team total for under 4.5. Let's see. Under 3.5 for +100 odds, could be something we consider, but obviously the books are catching up. I was hoping to get them under 4.5 for -130 or something like that. So under 3.5 for plus money does seem okay, but overall I guess this would be a spot in which I lean slightly under because Bassett's looked really good and Tanner Houck is obviously pitching a Cy Young S-type season. So give me the under in this spot as well. Now when it comes to player props, due to the fact that I think both pitchers have a decent shot here, I have a few player props that I don't mind. A few unders here. We have Davis Schneider under 1.5 bases. Now cashing that, a couple days back, and yesterday he did go off for, I think, he had a home run, so 4 bases, right? I like him to kind of come back down to earth here, especially against a guy like Tanner Houck. So definitely a spot in which I could consider his under. And then let's see, one other under I had was Vladdy Jr. under 1.5 bases. I think this is a good spot as well. He's cashed in 4 of his last 5, 7 of his last 10, and cashed yesterday as well. And I'm kind of just backing the fact that Tanner Houck is out there. And Vladdy Jr. strikes out a decent amount against sliders, so Tanner Houck loves to throw the slider. So 2 player props that I would consider. If you had to ask me, or if you did ask me, which one would you prefer? It's probably the Davis Schneider right now, but we want to make sure we can get that at good odds. Doesn't look all that tremendous. And honestly, I would consider Tanner Houck's strikeout line as well, just overall. I feel like we just rattle off a bunch of player props, but even the more that I look into what we have here, the better it does kind of seem. But I'm not saying fade Bassett. He could be a spot too where you look at, I think his hits line is 5.5. That could be something to consider the under as well. I feel like I just talked a million words a minute and just babbled. So you know what? Let's move on to the next game. Real quick before we do move on, I don't talk about this all the time. I know we used to talk about it a lot more, but this is our MLB dashboard that we have for channel members on the channel. $2.99 to become a member just for the month. You know what I mean? That is a damn good price if you ask me for the data that you're getting here. We have a dashboard that we build and update every single day, which goes through each and every game and looks at it from a pitching perspective. You have the bullpen down here. We even have the pitch mix, last 30 days batting for average, WRC plus, K rate, walk rate, OBP, FIP, OPS, ISO, slugging, that type of thing, right? And if you don't know what those mean, we literally have a terms and definition tab as well down the bottom, as well as expected lineups, which kind of can help, but you could find that elsewhere on the internet pretty easily. But yeah, guys, $2.99 a month if you do want to go and try this out. To become a channel member, I'll put a link in the pinned comment. It's also towards the bottom of the description, and there should just be a big old join button next to the subscribe button on the channel as well. So you get access to this. We post it to the members on the channel every single day. So yeah, if you want to spend $2.99 a month and get a really good place to start your research every single day, like I come into this and I go, okay, green, right, for the Red Sox, red for Toronto, green, sort of yellowish green. Will they hit this pitch really well? Like, it's a very good starting point to at least come in with an angle for your bets for the day. So we put a lot of work into this, and that's why we monetized it, but for only $2.99 a month. So go ahead and check that out, guys, if you do want to become a baller, which is what we call the channel members here. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into these games. Atlanta taking on Detroit, and man, oh man, I wish everything I talked about in this game yesterday cashed, and we didn't play a single one of them. So that's why I love talking about every single game, because at least there should be some good information or maybe takeaways for you guys. But I wish that we had a little bit more confidence behind it, because I had said, you know what, I think this is a interesting line for the Braves that have scored a bunch of runs. Now it comes down to a total that's low. I like the Detroit Tigers here on the run line. Like, it was a good spot. Today we do have two pitchers on the mound that I'm like, oof. We got Casey Mize, who I wouldn't necessarily say has been stellar. He had a good last start, but prior to that, not all that great. Going up against Spencer Swellenbach, who only has a few starts on the season and hasn't looked all that tremendous. So I do think this is an iffy kind of spot for both these guys. The total's at 9, which I'm not going to sit here and be like, I think that they blow that away, because both bats could struggle. I know the Braves have kind of started to hit better, but even yesterday they had a low-scoring game, right? So I think the way that I play this one might again be Detroit on the run line to get them with that +1.5 in our back pocket, as well as a slight lean towards the under. We saw that offensive regression from the Braves yesterday. Even though they won, they scored 2 runs, right? So I think that we kind of play a similar spot here. I just wonder if we have the balls to pull trigger again. So Detroit run line, as well as a slight lean towards the under, because I do think, in all honesty, looking at an under helps when you have the run line kind of in your back pocket as well, because low scoring game, you got +1.5, kind of a good situation. Adam Duvall under 1.5 bases, another good spot, I believe. The problem with him is that he can one hit kind of kill this, right? His extra base hit percentage is decent, but against right-handed pitchers on the season, batting just .081, not even 100 batting average against right-handed pitchers here. Against fastball, slider, and splitter, which are the 3 main pitches that we're going to get from Mize, he does fare well against, but again, a .081 batting average against this hand, getting this for +137 over on Caesars seems like it could be a decent spot. There's probably a few other unders that I can kind of get behind here, so keep an eye in the pinned comment for any updates on this game, because I think this is another game in which the offenses don't excel, and that's a time to target, I guess, an under, which we cashed the Nerfy. Yeah, so we did bet at least something in this game. Good. We cashed the Nerfy in this one, which I don't mind that spot again either. I think that these lineups, regardless of who's on the mound, could struggle against a pitcher the first time through the lineup. So yeah, we might like the Nerfy again. All right, Twins taking on the Rays. I hate the fact that the Twins are so heavily favored here, because I really did like the spot with Pablo Lopez going up against Tampa Bay. We got some hate last time I said that Pablo Lopez is a good pitcher, and it's like this myth that Pablo Lopez stinks. He's had a few starts, his last recent starts, where he got shelled, but Pablo Lopez is good. Like, we should put that on a shirt. Pablo Lopez is good, because he gets a lot of flack just because I feel like he hasn't totally proved himself as this stud in some people's eyes. Aaron Savali on the mound, who, if you've watched channel long enough, you know that I really do like, but Minnesota's bats should be able to kind of get to him to some degree, and I don't always trust, the Rays to give them run support, so I'm going to lean towards Minnesota in this spot, but unfortunately, we're looking at a team that is heavily juiced. Maybe it's because they're playing good baseball, but they've played Pittsburgh, Colorado, and, the Athletics, so it's like, oh man, that's kind of stinks, because they haven't really played a really good team recently, not like Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Chicago, Atlanta, they kind of went through a little bit of a gauntlet. Regardless if you think those teams are good or not, they're definitely better than what Minnesota's played. But -162, a little bit too much. -158 on FanDuel if you want to get particular, but we'll see if we pull the trigger on that. That's definitely a pretty strong price tag. The way that we probably could do this to kind of, I guess, get better odds would be first 5 run line, -0.5 for -115. maybe that's how we end up rolling with it, right? In terms of the total, I think Pablo Lopez pitches well, but I think the Twins have a decent offensive day. So with that said, I'm going to lean towards the over, assuming that the Twins continue to have some offensive success here. Like, listen to their last 5 games: 17 runs, 6, 6, 6, 8. Like, they're scoring a lot of runs here. Tampa Bay is definitely allowing a lot of runs as well. 7, 9, 6 in their last 3 games. So yeah, I think this could be an over, even if Pablo Lopez pitches okay. All right, we got the Rangers taking on the Mets. I was wrong about this one yesterday. I thought John Gray may have a good game. We didn't bet it, but damn, did not come through. They have been tagging starters. Missouri, this is the last 3 starters against them. 3 and 2/3. Dylan Cease, 3 and 2/3. John Gray, 3 innings. So no one's even made it out of the 4th inning yet against this Mets team in the last 3 games. And you know what? I guess I just don't want to get in front of this train right now. They've scored 11 runs and 14 runs. They're definitely seeing the ball okay, I guess we could say. And Texas against righties, nothing to hold your nose at. And Luis Severino is a righty, obviously. So you know what? Give me the Mets in this spot. I'm kind of confused, if I'm being honest. Kind of confused of the line, because based on what we've seen, I'm very shocked that this is a pick'em, -108 on both sides on FanDuel for either money line. So that almost tells me that maybe there's some sort of edge here or progression coming from the Rangers. But to me, when that train's moving, and I would say this Mets train is moving right now, I don't necessarily know if you want to step in front of it. So give me the Mets on the money line. I'll also lean towards the over, because if the Mets are going to win, it seems like they're going to win by 1,000,000 runs as of late. So yeah, I like that spot, and Michael Lorenzen pitching against them doesn't scare me one bit. All right, Cubs taking on the Giants. This is an interesting one, because you look at the game yesterday, like 7-6. Wow, like a barn burning, it was a high-scoring game, but San Francisco won that game. They scored, 4 runs from the 8th to the 9th inning, 3 in the 9th. So I don't necessarily think that they outplayed the Cubs by any means or anything like that. Now you have Justin Steele on the mound, who I think has looked fairly good. His last 4 starts, he has 2 runs allowed. He's pitching deep into games as well. 2 of his last 4, he's gone 7 innings. All very low-scoring games as well. And then on the other side is Logan Webb, which is obviously he's a very good pitcher too. So I think that this could be, I think his last few starts have been kind of shaky, but against good. I think he played, let's see if we can find this really quick. Houston and New York, 2 of his last 3 starts. So yeah, that's where the shakiness started, but 2 amazing offenses, right? So I'm willing to cut him a little bit of a break there. I think that this is a spot in which Justin Steele can almost excel. Like, as much as I hate to say that, because I do think that there's value in this San Francisco offense, especially against lefties right now. If Steele goes out there and pitches a good game, which he's done against the Cubs multiple times in his career, actually 45 plate appearances against 195 batting average, his last 2 starts against the Cubs, 8 innings pitched, 1 was a shorter innings pitched, but last start against the Cubs is probably better. That was last year. 8 innings pitched, 12 Ks, 2 walks, 13 pitches per inning, 0 earned runs. If he goes out there and pitches a gem, then it takes away the superpower that the Giants have right now in their last 30 days batting against lefties. So give me the Cubs here. I probably, if we had some plus money behind the Giants, I think that may be where we went. But, with this being a pick'em game, I'll take the home team. I'll take the team that, was probably pissed about a loss yesterday. And I'll take the team that seems like they have a pretty good thing going in terms of the pitcher on the mound. If you want to get super safe, for -155 right now, I know it's a lot of juice on ESPN. You can get them, the Cubs, at +1.5. So not a bad run line look either. In terms of the total, it's at 10. We know that means there's a lot of wind blowing in Wrigley here. So I don't want to take an under. I'll lean towards the over. But I think that this is a spot in which Justin Steele could, again, I'm kind of betting on that, could pitch a nice little game. All right, White Sox taking on the Astros. I don't know if we have a starting pitcher confirmed yet, but I've seen Framber Valdez thrown around here for the Astros, so I'm assuming that is the case. In which case, I do think that this is probably a Houston spot. I think I would have said that no matter who was pitching for them, to be completely honest. This White Sox team's just a little bit too inconsistent for me, so this is probably just a pass overall of a game. Total, I'll lean towards the over, because if Valdez gets rocked, great. If the Astros get to Jonathan Cannon, who's slated to pitch for the White Sox, then I guess even better. So I'll lean towards the over as well, but obviously didn't spend too much time on this game, because regardless of who's pitching for Houston, they're kind of priced out, and I don't know how comfortable I am laying the 1.5, especially for the odds for the 1.5 right now would still be -130. It's that doesn't seem worth it to me. I only want to lay 1.5 when we can get better and less juiced odds. Speaking of, I guess a similar spot here. Colorado taking on the Dodgers. On the mound for Colorado should be Gomber going up against Buehler. I'll say what I said yesterday. Obviously, it didn't, come through, so I'm not trying to say I was right yesterday. But yesterday, I was like, I don't have the easiest path to getting to the Dodgers. I'll lean Colorado. Kind of similar here. Like with Buehler on the mound, it's nothing that I want to touch with the Dodgers. But Austin Gomber is also Austin Gomber. So I'll lean Colorado just because I think there is actually a little bit of value in fading the pitcher for the Dodgers, but I don't think this one makes its way into being a final play. That's just me being completely transparent with you guys. In terms of the total, I actually could get behind an over here. You have two pitchers that could let up plenty of runs in this game, and the Rockies, for what it's worth, like not the Rockies, but Walker Buehler on the road has been absolutely terrible. So maybe the Rockies, they put up a decent amount of runs yesterday. That final score is 9-5. I could see something similar today. So usually I'm fading the altitude, but with the Dodgers in there, and then Colorado also getting 5 runs last, I think this could be another over spot. So maybe that's the direction in which we lead. All right, Angels taking on Milwaukee. Kind of dodged a bullet here. I did like Milwaukee yesterday, and you know what? We didn't end up rolling with it, so that's good. Today we have on the mound for Milwaukee Tobias Myers going up against Jose Soriano. I've also seen Griffin Canning, so we'll see who's actually getting the start there. Either way, I don't think that I'm sitting there, scared of either pitcher for the Angels. So as long as the Milwaukee's bats continue to I guess, fare pretty well, I think this could be a good spot for Milwaukee. And I think them losing yesterday actually helps the odds. You're getting them at minus 138 right now over on FanDuel. I like that spot. They definitely have the offensive edge. And if Griffin Canning's pitching, I think this is going to be a tough time for him out there. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee on the money line in terms of what we got. And that's also if I've seen Soriano's on one site as the listed pitcher. Griffin Canning, out of the 4 sites I checked, Griffin Canning's listed, but even if Soriano pitches, still like them. In terms of the total, I like the under. I think this is going to be a 5-3 game or 4-3 game type of thing in favor of Milwaukee. Now, from a player prop perspective, I like Brandon Drury under 0.5 bases or under 0.5 hits, whatever you can get. That's plus 140 now over on most books. I also don't mind Taylor Ward in the same category. Both these guys against righties here struggle severely. Brandon Drury a little bit more. He's batting 155 against righties on the season. So essentially betting on these guys not to get hits is a little bit risky. But again, plus 140, plus 143 for Ward. I think that this could be a nice spot to potentially take a swing. I guess pun intended, but the opposite. Bet for a guy not to hit it and not to swing. So yeah, I like either one of those spots. I could see both of them in there because if one of them hits, it'll cover the losses if the other one doesn't. So I probably play them together or not at all. So keep an eye on the pinned comment for that because I could definitely see those being thrown in as player props, but more like flyers, right? We're talking plus 140, plus 143 out here. Obviously, 2 strong odds plays. And before we move on, we just hit the 32-minute mark, guys. If you are still watching at the 32-minute mark, comment 32, and I want you to tell me the player in history. It could be any sport. When you think of 32, who wore it? I think my obvious one would be to go to Magic, but overall, I do want to know your favorite 32, and I would say also I appreciate the hell out of you guys if you made it this far into the video. I'm surprised I made it this far into the video. I'm talking absolute hungover from the Celtics last night. I'm okay admitting that because we talked about the drinking game all day yesterday, but waking up early, getting the research in, my head is ringing, so hopefully that hasn't come through on the camera. But overall, man, that's the great thing about this job, right? I can wake up and still love what I'm doing. If I had to go to my cubicle like I did a month ago hungover, you guys have put me in such a better position than that. So I just said a bunch of different things there, kind of got sappy, which you guys know I got to try and work on that and not get all mushy. But yeah, comment 32 if you made it, and I want to know who you think of when you see that number as well, athlete-wise. All right, Oakland taking on the Royals here. On the mound for Oakland's going to be Hogan Harris going up against Alec Marsh. I think this is a good spot to take a little play on Kansas City. You're getting them for good odds. I know Hogan Harris is actually pretty good, but Kansas City's offense is good as well. So I think for the odds here, I think you're getting a good spot. My one kind of concern is and it's just me probably missing something, is why are these odds where they are, if that makes sense? Are we putting a lot of weight into what Hogan Harris is and what he's done? So to me, I was kind of shocked when I saw that you can get the Royals at minus 135, But nonetheless, it's still going to be a direction that we lean in and that we like overall. So yeah, I like them as well as the under. But you can, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to have a Royals money line bet today, just because they are such a better team and you're getting them at a decent price here. So yeah, that's where I'm going to lean as well, as a slight lean towards the under. But guys, it's going to wrap for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.